And we are live. Hey guys, welcome to the Super Bowl Post podcast where we talk about things Marvel, DC, and Star Wars. It's your boy Stevie Hayes, joined by co-host Comic Cuts, my brother. What's crack-a-lacking, baby?
What's good? I think we got a really good topic today, so I'm excited about it. If you watched last episode, you'll know where I stand on this one. Uh, you know, um, but before we get into that, how are you doing? What's up with the MCU leaks? Let's get into it.
Sorry, didn't get my iPad. Okay, so yeah, before we get into the whole movie stuff, we might have to talk about this for a little bit. I really want to talk about two things before we get into Iron Man. Number one is the combo that we talked about yesterday about the whole MCU Kang multiverse stuff. Because I wanted to see how you felt now that you kind of sat on that idea for a day. Because I feel like you probably have like a whole thought out process after our combo.
Yeah, I think that
Well, wait. So, but before we get into that, I really want to talk to you about these leaks because, bro, this is a very interesting situation. Okay, so if you guys don't know what happened, so basically, to make a long story short, Kevin Feige is cracking down on leaks, and was this subreddit group that I was a part of called Marvel Studio Spoilers. Were you in that also or no?
I wasn't.
Okay, so basically, this subreddit was, I mean, they would send scripts, all types of leaks would get sent into this subreddit chat, and basically, what happened was, and I purposely did not make a video when this was released for this very reason because I promise you, bro, that if I did make that video, I would have our YouTube channel would have probably gotten taken down. But basically, they literally, bro, released the Ant-Man script like word
I
for word.
saw. I saw someone say something about that, which is crazy. And by the way, they're kind of lucky that a lot of people weren't talking about that because I didn't hear about it until Marvel filed a suit about it. Which, listen, leaks are one thing, talking rumors is one thing, and they might not like it, but there's no way to prevent that. And to most fans, people see that as fair game. We're all going to speculate what's going to happen next. We're all invested into this story. But when you talk about leaking an entire script, that is not cool.
Yeah,
Like,
you're literally crossing the line at that point.
yeah,
So and like because me, like I will post plot leaks. I don't think plot leaks are bad, but when you post a word for word script, and the rumor is that it's coming. It came from whatever. Apparently it was a someone in Portugal or something like that. It's this whole drama that's going on. But basically, one of the companies that they sent it to, somebody in that company ended up leaking it out, and that's kind of been the whole issue kind of happening. So yeah, man. So basically, they were trying to find who were the creators of that subreddit, and they were going to sue them. So what at first happened was that they locked the whole entire chat. So basically, it wasn't public anymore. The whole entire leak chat went private. Then later on that night, last night, it ended up getting deleted for good. So that's done with that. So this is going to change leaks forever. And I think it's for the better because, bro, I do feel like, there was a point where, like, lately, ever since really Multiverse of Madness, bro, it feels like it's just been so many leaks coming out that it's kind of starting to take away from, like, some of the mystery in the films. And, like, videos kind of, and even our content, right? Some of it went from more from, like, rumors and theories to just plots because we are literally just getting plot leaks every day. So I do think that Marvel cracking down is going to make us have to think harder, and I think we're going to be able to come up with more theories and more things like that without kind of having the plot just sitting there and everyone knowing what's going on. You know what I mean?
yeah, and it also changes the game because there were probably a lot of people that were making prediction videos when they actually read the script or they actually saw a hard copy leak. And again, it's not cool. And it's also kind of telling you it's a prediction when it's really a spoiler, and it's not going to be have a spoiler disclaimer on it. And I think if most fans knew that was the situation, they wouldn't want to watch your prediction take or whatever the case may be.
Exactly. It would have definitely been frowned upon, and like as I said, because like what caught me was I posted a leaked video on the Ant-Man that was posted, and basically it was the part where she called MODOK the D word, and then he changed. Then when I saw that in the movie, because at first I thought it was a joke, I was like, oh nah, this got to be Cap. Then when it actually happened, I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, that's not like that is something that's way too specific to predict.
Exactly. And like when you read it, you think it's like, oh no, this is stupid. Because then I was like, this would never happen. Then it actually happens. I'm like, bro. They actually like leaked the freaking, And as I said, I didn't leak the whole script. It was just that one part where I was like, okay, this is a little too like spot on, So right. I think this is honestly healthy for the fandom though. And I think that fandom needs to be speculative again, And yeah. I think this is one step in that direction.
There are just people that take it too far, and we saw that with a lot of the what's been going on around the DCU. The fans for a while, it was the fans that didn't like Snyder that took it too far, and now it's the fans that do like Snyder that take it too far. So I think that there's a lot of people in this fandom at large that need to grow up.
I agree. And I definitely feel like there's a time and place to post leaks. And as I said before, plot leaks aren't bad. I'm not against those, but scripts, that's where I draw my line, man. I just can't. And to anyone that reported, and to anyone that covered a script, you are nasty. That is nasty. That is legit disgusting.
People work really, really hard for this, and that it's and I know a lot of people think, oh well, they make so much money anyway, whatever. That's still what they're working for, and they have every right to make that kind of money. It's literally their living, and you have no right to interfere with that. And that's what you're doing when you do something like that. And I know, some of you out there, again, might think, oh, well, they make so much money. It's no different than someone out there. If you, work at a restaurant or you're a waiter and they do something to, diminish the amount of patrons that you might have in a certain night and, affect your, tip income or whatever the case may be. It's no different, and it's really not cool.
Exactly. Because, think about how, if I was in Jeff Loveness's shoes, I'd be pissed, Someone's taking my work and, you're just kind of putting it on the silver platter. I'd be heated about that as well. So
especially someone like him who, he's just made it to, the major leagues. He has a lot of control over what happens next within the MCU. And, it's for you to just leak his work. And also why would you want to read the script of a movie and not just see the movie? Doesn't that ruin the movie for you? It's just, it's not cool. And it's straight up lame.
Yep. Exactly. So, but even though the subreddit is taken down, there are still respectable leakers out there. There is definitely my time to shine. Hello, they're great leakers. Rickman's a good leaker. Daniel RPK, he's a good leaker. There's another one. What was his name? I forget the other leaker. Oh, Film Odyssey. He puts out good leaks that are respectable. They're not tattling too hard. So, there's still respectable leaks out there, but I do think after Marvel cracked it down, things are going to kind of slow down. Yeah, leaking the movie felt unethical. Yes, the Ant-Man leaks got very bad. And to be honest, not going to lie to you, bro, Multiverse of Madness had the same issue. Because the Multiverse of Madness script also got leaked a week before it came out.
Right.
And it is because whatever whatever company that they're sending it to, someone in there was leaking all of their content. And so apparently Disney's pressing one of their companies about it because they're like, yo, like, why is it, you know what I mean? Why is it leaking from your camp? So it should be taken
Sorry,
care
I'm
of.
just posting. I'm just posting that we're live, so people could chime in.
Go ahead, go ahead. So yeah. But yeah, so that's that. So now that the leaking conversation is over, now let's talk about this whole Kang thing because I did bring you I did call you yesterday because I was just fired up. We had like an hour conversation about this. So I'll start off with this, just giving the idea that I brought to you, and then you can kind of go down your rabbit hole because I just know I know you thought about it. So
Yeah.
basically, listeners, the thing that I called Comic Cuts yesterday after work, and I was telling them that I think I figured out this whole MCU King thing. So basically, this is I'm gonna say this is our working theory because I think that you also agree to an extent. You might have slight changes, but so the theory is that he who remains lied to Loki, and basically, I believe that he who remains controls the 616, and the Council of Kings control the Fox universe and all the other Marvel universes. And so basically, I believe that he who remains was making a bunch of these things happen because he wants to create his own multiverse. And I believe that he might have created his own multiverse to take that to defeat the Council of Kings. Maybe taking the most powerful Avengers from each time to go defeat King. I'm not sure, but I do believe that is that. And then I also brought up the fact that on Earth 838, which we all believe is the universe that the Council of Kings control. Something else that we found out that I've been kind of researching is that the 838 universe is 10 times more powerful than our 616. If you take a look at the details, if you watch Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, think about this, right? In our 616 main sacred timeline, Tony and the Guardians of the Galaxy got their butts whooped on Titan by Thanos. In the 838, the Avengers killed Thanos in full armor. In the 616, Thanos took off his armor after he got the second stone. But compare it to when he fought in the 838, he had almost all of the stones and still had full armor, just showing the power level of these two universes. So I think what King Dynasty is going to show us is that the 616 is mid, that the heroes in the 616 are super weak and they have no chance of beating King at all. He's going to beat on them so bad. And so that's kind of the idea that that's kind of the rabbit hole that I've been going towards, is that He Who Remains has somehow kept the Council of Kings out of the 616. But now that He Who Remains is dead, killed by Sylvie, either one of two things can happen. Either number one, Sylvie is trying to control the timeline, and there's this device that I was researching, bro. Remember when Sylvie and Loki first met, she was trying to find this thing called like the opal or something like that. Remember that she was trying to find this, like, the device.
Yeah.
Apparently, this device is going to allow her to travel through time and do all of these amazing things. So what if she has that and she's like making things happen in the timeline, kind of trying to sustain everything so the Council of Kings don't enter in, or she did not do that and got selfish and is doing her own thing, and so now the Council of Kings are able to come into the 616 and affect the universe and make certain things happen. So now, my one last thing, and we will touch on this after we go down this rabbit hole, but I just want to plant this on your mind now, Comic Cut. So just to put this in your mind, you DM me that Moon Knight is coming back, season 2. It's rumored, and the rumor is that Kang the Conqueror Rama Tut is going to be in this film. Here's the idea that I posed to you. All right, Loki season 2 will determine whether if Rama Tut is in there or not. Because look, right, we see at the end of Ant-Man Quantumania that Victor Timely is in in Ant-Man. We don't know what universe or time that is. Now, if Victor Tomley is in the 616, that gives us two options, right? Either number one, that is the king of the 616, or number two, it is the king. These are the kings that are infiltrating the 616, which means that Sylvie failed and that the kings are in here, which means that we will see all of this stuff unfold in the Loki show.
So it's a lot to digest, but I will say I do.
I'm sorry.
I do think no, all good, all good. The crazier the better. I do think that He Who Remains would be good comment. We'll get to that in a second. Thanks, Pop Cult King. I do think that He Who Remains is the king of the 616. And I think that he has, been through a lot that we haven't seen. But the reason why I think he is the king of the 616 is because he's the first one we saw. We saw him at the end, and he was so afraid of the other Kangs. That's what his entire purpose is as He Who Remains in Loki. He was terrified of the other Kangs. He tried to talk Loki out of killing him. And I do think that he was, he didn't really seem to have an evil intent, but he's Kang. I could be wrong for sure, but I do think he is the Kang of the 616, and he's evolved into this He Who Remains character. And he's like, I want to stay the fuck away from the other Kangs. And don't kill me. You're just going to fuck it up. And I think that, and I don't think he was lying, because I think the confirmation when they cut to that Kang statue, and that statue was 100% Kang. That outfit was the Kang outfit. So I do think that the Council of Kangs is trying to come into the 616 universe. The Council of Kangs probably has their, I think that their, mission objective is to conquer. That's what Kangs like to do. A bunch of Kangs together. I can't imagine that's not what they don't want to do. The 838 piece, and Thanos, being, in his armor and not being in his armor in the 616 makes a lot of sense. I don't think that, Kevin Feige would have signed off on something like that for no reason, but I do think that, I do think that the Kang Dynasty movie is, what I like, and this made me think about this more, but what I've been thinking about a lot is, in the comics, when they lead into Secret Wars and it's Jonathan Hickman's Avengers and New Avengers and the Illuminati story, there were a lot of different stories that took place in Avengers that kind of wrapped up, and then Secret Wars, was like the combination of different pieces of different planets. But what's interesting to me is Kang Dynasty is going to be leading us into Secret Wars. And in Secret Wars, there are, in the comics, it really was a Reed Richards versus Doctor Doom story. And also, Doctor Strange, who was kind of a pawn, and, spoiler alert, but, the Doctor Strange, he ends up, going up against Doctor Doom, realize what's going on, discovers the secret, if you will, and Doom kills Doctor Strange. So I think Doctor Strange has to be a part of it. Reed Richards has to be a part of it. Doctor Doom has to be a part of it. But at the same time, Warlock wasn't in Infinity War. So I do think there's going to be a lot of things that are going to be changed. And the Kang Dynasty story, which was, Kang basically comes to Earth and basically says, I'm taking over. I forget exactly, why or the premise of it, but that was the story. I personally didn't like the comic. I've said it a couple times. I really can't stand Kurt Busiek's writing. I think that the story
terrible comic. Oh my God.
Terrible. By the way, the story, like the plot, isn't bad. It's just that the dialogue and the way that Kurt Busiek writes,
he did not know the characters whatsoever.
Yeah, he could take a story like the Infinity Gauntlet story and make it trash. He is just that awful of a fucking writer.
I
Period.
agree.
And,
I
and by
agree.
the way, there was a comic writer. Oh, I think it was Mark Millar, who once gave like called out Kurt Busiek's Avengers story, and Kurt Busiek got pissed.
He flipped
But
out
if a
on him.
writer, yeah, there was like a Twitter beef. Like, and by the way, Mark Millar is one of the best Marvel writers of all time. So, if we're saying it, you might not, I think, I hope you trust us by now, but if Mark Millar is saying it, you can take his word. But my point is what, that Kang Dynasty story, I think, is going to be very different from the comic story, because we already know that the Council of Kangs versus Kang is like the Kang story going on right now. Kang is kind of running away from the Council of Kangs via He Who Remains in Loki, but then in Quantumania, Kang was thrown away by the Council of Kangs. So there's a real conflict between the Council of Kangs and Quantumania Kang, and He Who Remains, who I think is 616 Kang. The only thing that I think is interesting about him being the 616 Kang is how are they going to explain that He Who Remains has been in the 616 universe this entire time, and we're just finding out about him now. So, they're going to have to explain for a lot of time with him. And this is what I think they're going to do. And this is what I thought about over the past day. I think that it's going to be the story is going to revolve a lot around Kang and the TVA and the time variance and, the Masters of the Time, the Master Timeline. And I think that for them, the Master Timeline is the 616 universe. But what if other timelines are, like spurn other universes, and then other Kangs come about? Like, we don't know. That might be another like twist to the multiverse that could happen. And I think that some people are also saying that the multiverse, if someone said to me the other day, they think the multiverse has flopped. And, I don't think the multiverse has flopped. I think that Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, was an upset for a lot of people. I think a lot of people expected it to be a real banger of a movie. And for me, it wasn't. I know Stevie thinks differently, but for a lot of people, it was. And it goes back to, you can't prioritize laundering in characters like America Chavez last minute when you have a Sam Raimi Doctor Strange movie completely finished in the can. Like, Sam Raimi is a fire director. If he finished the fucking movie and it's a Doctor Strange movie, you don't fucking touch it to introduce a character like America Chavez. Because let me tell you, how many people have you heard say, I want to see more America Chavez? Let's be real for a second. I haven't heard one.
Yeah. Okay. So I I I am 99% with you right there. So I don't think that He Who Remains is going to be the 616. And the only reason why I don't, this is all I'm thinking, right? If he told Loki and Sylvie that he saw the end of time, could I don't think he's seen the end of the 616. I think he saw the end of the universes that the Council of Kings, um, like the multiverse that they inhabit. But this has kind of made me think about other things, right? Do the timekeepers exist in the other multiverse? Is there another eternity? Is there another living tribunal? Like, or is there just one version of
So
these characters?
I
You know
do
what I mean?
think I do think that whatever universe He Who Remains has been operating in, I think that the timeline got so complicated, and I think that's why he installed and built the TVA.
For the 616.
For the 616. But I also think, and I saw something on this, I forget where, I forget if Loveness was saying it, but basically that the entire they purposely didn't show us anything about Kang time traveling and controlling time. So we're going to learn a lot more details about how that works, how Kang
Yeah.
operates with time. We don't, and I think that once they kind of unveil layers of that story, we're gonna have a little more accuracy and precision with these predictions. But I don't think that when they do, unveil that, I still think that there's going to be confusion around it, and I think kind of, us learning more about it is going to make it more interesting with each
Yeah.
installment.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think Multiverse of Madness is mid. I think the biggest reason why I think you and other fans don't like it is because we were supposed to be e- experiencing all the areas of the multiverse, and we barely go anywhere. All we do is dream walk to the A38. The Illuminati was dope and amazing. We all love that, but we wanted to see more. And I do
It was
think
like a 2 minute. It was like a 2 minute roller coaster ride, and that was it.
exactly. And Kane the Conqueror should have had some type of power play in this film. And honestly, making Wanda the villain was she was good as the villain, but she ate up 90% of the film to where it stopped becoming about Doctor Strange. And to me, that's what hurt the film. I think like when I think about this movie in retrospect, America Chavez is the perfect person to be this film because she can travel from universe to universe. The issue is that you build your whole plot around that, and that's the issue. You can't base your plot on the fact that America Chavez can travel time. That's
You
just
know,
it's just not.
universe is not time, but
I'm
yeah.
sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, yeah.
No, I know
It's
that's
not
what
a
you meant.
thank you, bro. And it's not a solid foundation to build it on. You have to build your foundation on the idea of Doctor Strange and whoever the villain of the film is. And
Right.
so that's kind of what pissed me off with this is like you you build up Wanda so much in WandaVision to be this hero. Even though she effed up, she still stood out. She still came back as the hero and defeated Agatha. She
Mhm.
does all this to go back to the villain again
Right.
that fast. It was just too much. Honestly, bro, I wouldn't have minded if they sat Wanda down and we go right into a and I wouldn't be mad if we went into that into a uh what was it? If it I wouldn't be mad if we went from WandaVision to the children's what's it called it? What's that comic book run that we were just talking
The
about?
children's crusade.
Crusade. What I wouldn't have minded if season two.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
mute my cam for a sec.
yeah, go ahead. I honestly wouldn't have been mad if we got something else like that, man. I just think that Doctor Strange was kind of wasted in that as I said, I think I love this movie. I think Doctor Strange is a banger. I just really do think that it could have been done better. All right, so let me read Pop Cool King's comment. It says there's a rumor that Secret Wars starts the event but doesn't end it. Essentially, post Secret Wars is like a bunch of Battle World movies and shows. Yeah, so Pop Cool King, I did hear about that as well. Apparently Battle World is the goal. So like, we are going to have Secret Wars and we're going to get a bunch of Battle World content. Would be very interesting to see. Would be very interesting to also see who is going to be in that next phase right afterwards. So there are a lot of rumors about Battle World being the next thing. And just to let you guys know, Comic Cuts and I, we've been getting back into I'm getting back into the comics hard. He's been here already. So we are going to be reading about Battle World and Secret Wars and all of this stuff, and we're going to be talking about it, giving you guys primetime info on all of these things to break them down for you guys. But yeah, man, I I think that America Chavez held too much weight in the film. I think that was one of the main issues regarding Doctor Strange. But I do think that Iron Lad is going to have a part to play. So this is my theory about Iron Lad, Popcorn King, and Comic Cuts. My theory is that Iron Lad was the secret member in the Illuminati in the 838 universe, and that he's not from the MCU. So, like, don't know that rumor that we're gonna get a superior Iron Man?
I've heard that rumor, and the only reason I would be wary of that rumor is I think that there's been a lot of Superior Iron Man rumors, and none of them have ever come to fruition. However, I don't think it is something like, I do think that if Kevin Feige sees that the fans want to see Iron Lad, and he could get a Tom Cruise to, have an appearance as Iron Lad, I don't think it's not in the cards. The only thing is, I can't imagine how much money it would cost to get Tom Cruise to do it. I do think Tom Cruise would want to do it, but he also did say the other day, like, I don't see anyone else in the role as Iron Man. Obviously, Superior Iron Man is a little bit different, but at the same time,
I don't see it.
It is the same person. It's just for those of you that don't know, Superior Iron Man is a little more of an egomaniac version of Tony Stark, where he kind of turns evil and uses his technology to exploit people, take advantage of them, and grow much more wealthy in the process. But it is Iron Man. He just literally takes a different path in life, but it's the same exact person.
Exactly. So I honestly don't think they're going to do that. I personally think the secret member in the A3 universe is Iron Lad, and I think that I think that would be a perfect way to introduce him instead of making Iron Lad our 616.
And by the way, like I always say, they're pulling a lot from Jonathan Hickman right now, and Iron Lad makes an appearance for it was maybe one or two issues, and it was very short, and it was really just a cameo, but he did make an appearance in the Jonathan Hickman Avengers series that led into the Secret Wars, and the very Secret Wars that they're making the movie based off of.
Harley Keener is not Iron Lad, just letting you guys know. I know you guys are very hopeful about it. It's not Harley Keener. Let it go. He's not Iron Lad. As I said, and if they do Iron Lad, I hope that they adapt the story from the comics that Kang put him literally back in the beginning of time to train. I want that whole entire, give me that whole entire plot. That would be freaking awesome. But I do think that there's kind of a lot going on in this multiverse thing that we have to figure out, and we will figure out as we go along. But I do think that Loki is going to give us definite answers on what the future is going to be. Like, Loki's that statement project of like, okay, this is where the future is going.
Yeah,
and that's just a reality.
And it was when Loki came out that Loki finale confirmed Kang. Loki finale was what started the talk of Secret Wars. So he's 100% right. Loki is that statement project, but I do think Moon Knight season 2 is going to be a statement project, and I do think that Moon Knight, and I don't know what, but I have a feeling that there are other projects in the works that have been phase 4 projects, and their successors will, be statement projects as well. Because, Kevin Feige has made statements saying that you're going to see how phase 4 ties together. And it's just an easy way I could see that statement be viable.
I agree. I 100% agree. So yeah, man, there's just a lot, as I said, there's so much to go, but we cannot give you a definite answer until we watch Loki. And that's kind of where I'm going to leave it at. That's going to give us the definite answer. But so obviously we love to start off our episodes with some weekly news. So that's that.
We got to talk a little Daredevil.
Yes. Daredevil. And then we're going to hit some James Gunn Superman. And then we'll get into Iron Man. So, all right. So what's up? What you got about Daredevil?
Listen, I think that, there's a lot of talk. I think that Echo is going to be the love interest of the show. They're going to make, and I think that, it's not just that they're not using Elektra for legal reasons. Punisher, yes. But I think that, making Echo the love interest in Daredevil Born Again makes Echo standalone series more valuable in the grand scheme of things. So I think that is an easy play, because I don't think that people are that interested in Echo. I know we're not. We've spoken about it, but you make Echo Daredevil's love interest and you bring Daredevil into the Echo show. Now the Echo show is interesting. Bringing the Punisher back, people are freaking out. I do think that Daredevil, Born Again is going to be really new ground for the MCU. The thing about the MCU is that every MCU project has kind of been like larger than life in its own way. They're all, even the TV shows, they're all theatrical events, so and that's why a lot of people haven't been so happy with the Tom Holland Spider-Man trilogy, because it's not that grounded street level Spider-Man, even though, there is a lot of Spider-Man, there are a lot of Spider-Man comics that are, that larger than life, Avengers level threat that, Spider-Man takes on his own. Spider-Man is beating Kang on his own. Spider-Man is the real fucking deal. But at the same time, I think that Daredevil Born Again, 18 episode, it's going to be street level. It's going to be a banger. They're bringing Punisher into it too. So I do think that this is going to be, one of those MCU entries that when it comes out and when it finishes, I think it's going to be in a lot of people's top fives.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I said this on the YouTube video I posted last week that Echo is going to play the role of Elektra, and I'm totally with that. I think Echo with other characters is a W. I still think you could have just put her in Daredevil season 1 and not have this stupid show, and everything would have worked fine. But hey, I'm not Kevin Feige, so whatever. Right. But because this is big, like Daredevil and Kingpin are going to eat up the whole entire show, and I'm fine with that.
And Punisher, Punisher.
Yes, and Punisher, but you could have legit saved it with just doing a Daredevil Born Again show with just that. But that's fine, whatever. Yeah, man. I just I love street level stuff, and we need grounded content. Not because Thunderbolts are going to be crazy. I think that's going to be a wild movie with all the stuff going on. Tiamat Island. It's just so much going on. So yeah, I don't really have much to say on that. I'm with you 100%.
By the way, on the Thunderbolts, I do want to throw out a comic recommendation. If you haven't read it,
Black Knight got removed from Blade. Yeah, so speaking of really quick about that. So apparently, Mahershala Ali is making major changes to the script. And I also heard a rumor that him and Wesley Snipes are going to be doing movies together because of the whole Battle World scenario. So very interesting.
Would love to see Wesley Snipes. Always love.
Mahershala Ali is asking for Wesley Snipes apparently. So that's a really big deal. If we get a Wesley Snipes and Mahershala Ali Blade movie, that movie will do $1 billion. Mark my words on that.
100%. 100%.
Wow. Yeah, I think Mahershala Ali is going to be the next greatest casting since Chadwick.
I can see it, and it's always a good sign when the, star actor is that involved. He's obviously very passionate about it.
I agree. So, yeah, I love Blade. So, what were you about to say, though? We were talking about Black Knight.
Oh, I was just going to say good. I don't think that Black Knight really had a place even though it was a post-credit scene. I think that Black Knight was out of place in the Eternals post-credit. I think he is out of place in the Blade movie. And I don't think anyone...
Save him for Midnight Suns. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. Just save him.
Yeah. Save him. What I did want to say was, I think that, Thunderbolts. I'm kind of getting them confused with Dark Avengers. But side note, Dark Avengers, there is a really good comic where Iron Man goes up against Norman Osborn, and it kind of goes into the Dark Avengers. But that is the Matt Fraction Iron Man run. It is fire, and what made me think about it, because we just watch Iron Man. We're about to talk about Iron Man, but the thing is, I'll save it for when we start talking Iron Man.
Okay, you're all good. Okay, so. Guys, so I do want to touch on one more thing, or two more things. Number one, the balls on James Gunn, the balls that this man has to not be the president of DC Studios, the balls of this man to direct and write for Superman. WOW. Wow. How do you feel about that?
Listen, I know a lot of people are going to be upset about it, But I do think when that movie comes out, I think it's going to be a banger, and I think he knows how much is on the line, and even more so if he's writing and directing it. And there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be naysayers, and they're going to say, "Oh, well, he always does movies like Guardians of the Galaxy and Suicide Squad. How is he going to do Superman?" You have to realize a guy like James Gunn and people in Hollywood, you can't typecast people. It's that same mentality that people had when they said, well, Robert Pattinson, he can't be Batman. He was in the Twilight movies.
Yep. And what happened?
Yeah, we got like arguably the greatest Batman movie of all time. And, so I just think that you can't typecast creatives when someone is of caliber of someone like James Gunn. He is multidimensional. He's going to be able to write a good Superman movie. And by the way, I think it's important for someone like him to do it, because when he does do it, he's going to get a lot more support to direct other things. But it's funny because no one today will admit that they doubted Pattinson, but when they announced Pattinson, most people were doubting him.
I have the screenshot still. And I remember with my old co-host, I legit was saying like, remember when it first released that it was like a red background and it was just showing his cowl and like the front part. I was boosting it and they were like, "Oh, you're a hater," blah blah blah. And then all of a sudden, when that freaking something in the way came on, everybody was singing it in the theater, right?
Yeah.
Things work. It's funny. So here's what I heard about Venom. I know you and I both hate Sony as a collective because
I do like the Venom movies though. I didn't hate the sequel. I didn't think it was great. I liked the first Venom. I like Tom Hardy as Venom. I like what.
But we both think that Sony as a collective that they're just idiots, like that they don't know what they're doing with their continuity whatsoever. And by the way, Sony, if you guys ever get sick of it, hire me and Jerry.
Yeah,
I'll quit my job right now. Give me the millions. We will fix your universe. Just say the word.
Facts.
And we will take Tom Holland back. I'm just kidding. Okay. Anyway, so I think I like the Tobey Maguire movies and Tom Hardy Venom. Yes, I like the Tobey movies, not really the Venom films. But so here's the rumor, bro. So the rumor is that Madam Web is connected to Venom. That Madam Web happened 10 years before Venom, and basically the plot of Madam Web is that some guy from the future is going to try to kill Peter's mom while she's pregnant with Peter Parker. And so all of the Madam Webs Madam Web and the Spider Woman, apparently Sydney Sweeney she's playing Spider Woman, not Madam Web. I was wrong,
right? But not Jessica Drew.
No,
it's
no. Mm-hmm. So here's apparently what the plot for Venom is, and this made my balls itch. Not gonna lie. So this, I was like, this is terrible. So basically, what happened is, obviously, we know that Tom Hardy's Venom is connected to the Hive, which gives him millions of years of knowledge. So basically, Venom tells Eddie Brock that Spider-Man is destined to kill us, and apparently in Venom's universe. It's in the SUMC, the Sony universe of Marvel characters. Stupid name. Peter is 10 years old. So what happens is Venom takes over Eddie Brock's body, steals Peter Parker, and then basically, bro, they like come back. Like, and then basically, it's a movie of Eddie fighting with basically the symbiote over like, am I going to take care of Spidey? Or am I going to take care of Peter, or am I going to kill him? And then the guy from Madam Web is going to be in Venom to try to kill Peter again, and the Venom is going to face off against him.
Yeah, it just seems so dumb, and it's like they should just sell the rights back to like, they're not going to make money with it. They've already shat the bed on this one. And
if this is true, this is bad.
Yeah, and Madam Web is a dope character, but and so is Craven, but nobody thinks they're gonna do a good job with it.
Nope, because there's no Spider-Man. You can't make a movie.
Yeah. It's like, listen, the there's only like one successful project ever where they didn't have like the title character, and I think that was Gotham, but they did have a young Bruce Wayne. It wasn't canon, and it was just like, you know, a low budget TV show that was like nonstop twist, turn, thrill, and it was awesome, you know. But I don't think that whatever Sony's doing is nothing near it. And listen, they should sell the rights back to Disney, take the check, call it a day, because this is going to be awful. And I'm pretty sure Venom 2. Oh, good. I'm pretty sure Venom 2 did terrible in the box office, like terrible.
Yeah, Venom 1 did great. I think Venom 1 did 800 mil, which is amazing for, you know, the trash that they released. Venom 2 did like, I think 200 mil, which is terrible. With the 800 mil budget, it sucks. So is it Noel the symbiote god?
Yeah.
And it's fun fact, Noel actually was laying dead in Thor: Love and Thunder, if you guys didn't see that.
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, basically, if you take a look at when Gore the God Butcher first met that one god dude, the guy that had the Necro sword, that was Null.
Oh yeah, it actually looks pretty dope.
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
So let's get guys. For you listening on the audio, because you know, guys, we do have an audio podcast. I am going to split the audio in two. So I am going to do like a part 1 and a part 2. So this was just the part 1 where we talk about, you know, current news and rumors and leaks. And so now this is the part 2. So, all right, guys. So, Comic Cuts and I, we are starting a podcast series where we are going through basically every single superhero film and TV show of all time. And so we are starting with the MCU. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through every superhero film. And then after that, we have a second channel that we created called the Fantasy Post, where, because, you know, we're not just superhero nerds, where we're going to talk about Harry Potter and a bunch of other franchises. We are going to be doing a John Wick episode soon because John Wick is coming out the next week. So, you know, we're going to do all of our other movie stuff over there. So, if you haven't, please please subscribe to the Fantasy Post, because we're going to be posting some stuff on there as well. But so today, to start off the MCU, we are starting with Iron Man 1. So we both watched Iron Man 1. And so we're really going to talk about Iron Man 1 and just the importance of that film. And, you know, if you want to join us as we walk through, you know, the MCU films. And on the Saturdays that we're free, we are going to do a watch party as well with whatever film we're on that week as well. So, bro, do you remember how excited you were to see Iron Man 1?
It's funny because I didn't know what to expect of it, and I felt like it came out of like left field, and I wasn't expecting it to be as amazing as it was. And I remember walking out of the movie theater like, holy shit. And, you know, I was thinking about this a lot since I watched it 2 nights ago, you know, like, and we're going to stick to Iron Man today, but keep in mind, like, that Iron Man, Captain America, First Avenger, Thor, Avengers, all 4 of those movies were absolute bangers, and it set a new precedent, and it built the comic book movie fandom, you know. And without Iron Man, you know, listen, the success of that movie, and it was so good. And this is what I was going to say before, like, it really reinvented Iron Man as a character, you know, and the comics today are more inspired by that movie than they are the history of Iron Man comics.
Sorry, I didn't know I was on mute. I 100% agree. But by the way, if you guys are asking, the movie that we're watching next week is The Incredible Hulk. Okay, so just letting you guys know, we are going in cinematic order. So the first 5 movies are going to be this: Iron Man 1, Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, Thor 1, Captain America, First Avenger. That's the first 5 that we're going to be watching. Okay, so yeah. So for me, bro, I mean, you know, obviously you and I have a large age, not large, but a pretty nice age gap. So I was like 9 years old. I'm not going to lie. I was, and I hate to say this, I hate these films now. I was on the Christopher Nolan train during this time. So like, I didn't really understand how important this actually was. until honestly like Avengers 1. So
What?
like
Hold on. What Christopher Nolan movies do you hate? I love his movies.
no, like you know how I like despise the Dark Knight.
Right. That's what I
So
figured. But when you say
yeah.
Christopher Nolan, I thought you might mean like Inception
No, no,
or
no, no.
yeah.
I was on the Dark Knight craze, like Dark Knight just came out,
Uh-huh.
I'm freaking like I got the Batman suit. I freaking think I'm Christian Bale. I'm talking like I'm 9 years old, so I'm like
Right.
I'm not wearing hockey pads. I'm not wearing hockey
Yeah.
pads. I'm on that wave,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. And so basically, but I was excited to see Iron Man. Like watching Superman Returns, I felt like that was when CGI took like the next level because Superman Returns, as much as the plot sucks, bad. Oh my god, that movie does hold up well, CGI and graphics wise. That movie was amazing. So going into Iron Man, I was expecting, kind of like, and they were kind of branded to be like the next best CGI, the next best graphic, So watching Iron Man 1, I was just in awe of how great it was, and I as an 8-year-old, I read Demon in the Bottle, which was hilarious.
That is hilarious.
Yes, so I didn't really understand it, but I will say this, right? So 2 months before Iron Man came out, my parents bought me a Marvel encyclopedia. And so basically, I still have it to this day. I actually just bought the DC encyclopedia. Look, you hear this? I don't think I knew the MCU existed until the second Avengers. Dude, we're young, man. We're young. You see, it's crazy. So my
to be fair, sorry, I was just gonna say I didn't know it was called the MCU till around then. I just knew Marvel movies. Like I didn't call it the MCU.
Yeah, exactly. So, bro, I got this encyclopedia. By the way, I have to freaking I gotta buy you one, dude. They're freaking amazing. But so basically, I did all this reading on Iron Man leading up, so I came in like kind of knowing everything that was kind of going to happen because it tells you the whole entire like, his whole entire like origin. So it was Iron Man 1 was the first time where I've read something in comic book paper that actually came to screen. And that's why, to me, Iron Man was important. When you read Dark Knight, you're not, Dark Knight is a kind of Nolan's Batman was a different portrayal of Batman. It was kind of Nolan's twisted mind of how Batman was supposed to be. It's not necessarily like probably that right. Pattinson's Batman is legit like comic book Batman. Like there's no there's no type of like line. And you kind of got the same with Tony Stark's Iron Man. It's like you feel like you're opening up a page to a origin comic book.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what left like a long lasting effect on me, and that's what got me into reading a bunch of Iron Man comics right after.
Yeah, I didn't read comics at the time. I wish I did, but like looking back on Iron Man comics, they're completely different. Iron Man was never like front and center in the Avengers stories prior to that movie, and the Extremis did come out before that movie did, but and Extremis helped inspire the Iron Man in the MCU. It especially inspired the Iron Man 3 movie. But, like, I do think that, Tony Stark was like, this fun, likable playboy character, and everyone liked his douchey bravado. I know at the time, like, I was like, he's the fucking man. I mean, I still am. He's still my favorite Marvel character till this day. And if that movie didn't succeed the way it did, the MCU wouldn't exist. So, like I know there are a lot of people like today who, get into the MCU a little bit later and they don't all like Iron Man, especially in today's like socio-political environment. Like a lot of people, have it out against, rich people, the whole eat the rich thing, which I think is just absurd. But like, if you are a Marvel fan and you're not an Iron Man fan, just know you wouldn't have any of these movies if it weren't for Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark portrayal. And you have that to thank for everything that came after.
Yep. And like, and we talked about this on our last episode that, Robert Downey wasn't like, it's not like this man had a peachy clean acting career. Mans was coming off for like a bunch of just crime. Like, not crime, but yeah, crime. Honestly,
Yeah.
crime, and just doing, being on the drugs and stuff. And he came back with this big banger. And not to mention right now, let's dig into this character of Tony Stark, because this movie is a very interesting take on the story, because you start the movie with this cocky guy. He's rich. He gets all the girls. The movie starts with him sleeping with this girl. And when I was 9 years old, I was like, oh, I love this movie already. My little
They don't do that
heart.
anymore, by the
You know
way.
what I mean? Exactly.
Since Disney, that doesn't happen.
Yeah, there's a cap on that. So you see that he has no idea what the real world actually is, what people go through in other countries. Then he goes to the country to show this, really cool explosive tech that he has. He gets attacked. He then sees that his own equipment is being used against him, and that the enemies are using his tech to put terror on other people. And then I'll let you continue after this. So then we get to another part where the money doesn't mean anything. The only thing that he's viable for is his brain. And so we see a man, and this isn't even the part where he hits full growth. This is just survival. We see a man who's one of the richest men on the planet, have to use his brain and his thought process in his hands to escape from the hell that he is in. And I'll let you continue from that.
And I want to quote Obadiah Stane. Tony Stark built this in a fucking cave, and he did. He built it in a cave. He escaped, and he comes home, and he's like, we're done selling weapons, and everyone thinks he's crazy. And usually, if you are a genius, especially the way Tony Stark is, people already think you're crazy. So he doesn't give a fuck that people are going to think he's crazy. He's like, no, this is what I'm doing. We're not selling weapons anymore. Everyone that's close to him in his life thinks he's crazy, from Pepper, Happy, Obadiah Stane, who obviously, becomes the villain, or was the villain the whole time, and ordered the hit on Tony Stark. But he didn't care about it all. And, that's why, like, I don't understand when people are like, oh, I don't like Tony Stark. Like, he did the right fucking thing. Most people in that situation would have been like, fuck it, I'm going to continue selling weapons,
And that's the thing about Iron Man that's so amazing, is that, we didn't get the first suit. And as I said, we talked about this last episode, but, even though, even like when you take a look at all of the other movies, except Batman, Batman Begins is a Christopher Nolan film that I highly respect. I love that movie to death. And Batman Begins, he didn't get the suit. But, when you take a look back to like Christopher Reeve Superman and any other origin film, to be honest, they usually get the suit on the first try. So I'm happy that, coming into this film, we get two trial runs before we get to the actual final suit, which was super awesome.
So I want to say something, and I think it applies to both Iron Man and the Dark Knight trilogy. I do think that if you had Batman or Iron Man in their OG suits, like those vintage comic book looking suits, I don't think they would have had the success that they did. I think, when like that first, I think it was the Mark III, they called the first suit that he built when he was out of the cave, like, I do think that part of that movie's success, that suit had to look fucking cool. Like, it felt like a Ferrari. And I think that the suit in Batman Begins had to be a cool looking suit, not necessarily an OG comic book accurate suit. And I think that, making the movies look good and appealing to people that weren't into comic books was trivial to the success of both of them. You know, because you got to remember, and I know I say this all the time, but it's the truth. Like, they didn't have the comic book movie fandom as a luxury to bank on today. You know,
Yeah.
today
And maybe
there's
that's where. And sorry, I'm so sorry to interrupt.
all good,
But
all good.
it's just because, bro, you were legit dropping gems, and I want to drop it with you just so like we don't get caught up in like another thing. That's why I think the failure of Ant-Man might be good for the MCU, because of the fact that they got so reliant on the main fandom and not the fandom that matters. The Iron Man 1 is so good, Thor 1 is so good, Captain America 1 is so good, Captain America the Winter Soldier is so good. Do you know why? Because they're not making the movie for the random fans. They made these movies for us, for diehard Marvel fans. And so I think
that's how you win over the larger fan base.
Exactly. And I really believe that these failures are, like regardless of how bad these projects get, if they get down to the rock bottom where they were before, they have to go back to that formula. So sorry, just had to comment on that.
No, I 100% agree. And I think that they have had this luxury of they make any movie and it's like wildly successful. And,
and most of them work because they made them for us. Yeah. And most of the times, I think, and I mean, this is the way that me and you approach YouTube, right? You and I have a niche that we hit, but we end up hitting everyone at the same time. And that's what the Infinity Saga was mostly, is that they're making these films trying to target the main core audience, but they end up hitting everyone because the content's just vast and good. And now it's like now the calculations are, you know what? Let's make these films for females. Now let's make this film for a certain type of man. And that's where they're not hitting it, because now they're not generalizing like the fan base. They're taking certain parts that they like.
It's a real problem. And, like there was a leaked recording of like Disney, and I think that they said they want like half their characters, execs being LGBTQ and like all this woke stuff. And it's like, it's very clear that that's what they're doing. Everybody knows it. I know there's going to be some people that are going to be upset I'm saying this, but like, keep in mind, I'm not like everything I'm saying is true. Like, you could look it up. There is a leaked recording of a Disney executive Zoom meeting where, one of their top execs said that's like, they want 50% of all characters being LGBTQ or something along those lines. I forget the exact words. And, there hasn't been any Marvel movie, I can't even remember the last Marvel movie that came out where there was a main character and then they also introduced a strong female character. And how I feel. I already said that I think that they ruined Doctor Strange with America Chavez. Even in Black Panther Wakanda Forever, they already had Shuri as the Black Panther, and that wasn't enough. They still had to introduce Ironheart. So, and I liked Ironheart. I thought that Ironheart was great in that movie. But the point is that they need to put the focus back on the main characters, and especially on a movie like Love and Thunder. And even though I hated what Taika Waititi did with that movie, and even if you remove Jane Foster from the equation, I like Jane Foster, but like
the movie's still bad.
The movie was bad. With Jane or not, that movie is going to be bad. But my point is that with a character like Thor, when you have so few OGs left, you can't afford to. You should have played it safe and stuck to the original formula with a character like Thor. You shouldn't have taken the risk and gone and made Jane Foster the center of the movie. And you definitely shouldn't have let Taika Waititi, do whatever the fuck he did. I mean, seriously, that dude should never direct a comic book movie again.
Agreed.
It was a slap in the face to fans.
Terrible. Thank you for that, Taika. But
I am not against the prominence of females in films like it is. Like, I honestly don't have a problem
with that, and the reason why is because I see what Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau did with Cara Dune. I saw what they did with Bo Katan. I saw what Dave Filoni did with Ahsoka. I saw what Dave Filoni did with Sabine Wren and Hela. Like those are all prominent female characters in Star Wars, and they don't eat up any other character. Like so, and like prime example, right? Mando episode 2, we get Bo Katan being a heavy hitter for the episode. She's the most important piece of the episode. But this is what happens. They don't mention the fact that she's a female. They don't they don't try, like I don't think the issue, and this is why I think Hawkeye works. Hawkeye works because not one time Clint Barton mentions her identity. That's why Hawkeye works. Black Widow,
they should have gave her a trilogy. They should have gave Black Widow a trilogy.
People love Yelena Belova. You know why, bro? Because we don't care about her sex.
Right. It's not like shoved in our face.
Yeah.
And
it's the same way. And it's the same way with the men. We don't care about Tony Stark's sex. We don't care about Steve Rogers' sex. We don't. And so when you make a focus about the sex of the person, that's when us as fans, we got to step in and say, hold up, bro. Shuri didn't become Black Panther because she's a girl. Shuri became Black Panther for another reason. And not to mention, Bastard denied her to become the Black Panther. She wasn't even qualified or worthy to become that. And she went through no trials. No, I'm sorry. I'm getting mad. Okay, let me stop. Okay, back to Iron Man. Okay, before I go to
I want to say one thing on Iron Man. You know, by the way, say they didn't use Iron Man and they didn't kick the MCU off with Iron Man, and the first Iron Man movie came out post Endgame, you know what would have happened? It would have been called Iron Man, but it would have been Iron Man and Rescue. And you know how little they centered on Rescue? That a lot of you probably don't even know who I'm talking about when I say Rescue. Rescue is Pepper Potts' character when she puts on the suit. She came into the fold.
What an awesome scene, by the way.
Awesome scene. She was there for the very end of the end game final battle. She put the suit on, and they never even called her Rescue. They didn't make a big deal of it, and it just worked for the scene. But if Iron Man came out today and they were to do the trilogy post, it would suck because it would be focused on Rescue, not Iron Man.
And they also gave the females a whole scene where they fought Thanos, and it was amazing.
Yeah. And they killed it. They killed
subtly. It. Yes. Things were great subtle. Like when you subtly do something, it works. When
Miss Marvel was amazing.
Yeah, honestly, Miss Marvel, man. When I think of top 10 projects, that movie might be up there, man.
You know what else I also really like, and I know a lot of people hate on it, and I think it kind of goes along with like what you're saying, even though they did force it down our throats with Captain Marvel 100%, but it was a good movie.
It worked.
It was a good movie. But I do think that they'd be better off releasing the Marvels a little sooner and not shoving these female characters into these movies, like, you know, and taking away from the title character. You know,
bunch them all together, and they should be doing that with a lot of other characters, because Black Widow didn't get her own film for a reason. So why would you go against that formula? But okay, so back to Iron Man. All right, so boom, so we see that Tony Stark is trying to make changes, but he's still addicted to this lifestyle partying, lifestyle of being a hoe. Also, and just being the stubborn Tony Stark, but on the low, he's building his own suit. So obviously, we get the test suit Easter. That's the Easter egg to War Machine, which gets us all hype. But now we have 3 prominent relationships in this film, and I want you to speak on these relationships. All right, the 3 prominent relationships. 1 is the relationship with Rhodey. 2, the relationship with Pepper that we see in this film that's starting to brew the romance that is coming in. And the 3rd is we see the relationship with Obadiah Stane. Now, do me a favor and speak on those three relationships, and then I'll go back into my narration mode.
You know, what I liked about the Obadiah Stane relationship is that even when he didn't know, because he didn't know Obadiah did all that stuff till like the very end of the second act, beginning of the third act, at that event that he wasn't supposed to be at, that red carpet black tie event. But you know, the whole movie, Obadiah Stane was in his ear trying to manipulate him to get Tony Stark to do what Obadiah Stane wanted, and Tony Stark wasn't having it. You know, he you know, stuck to his guns. He didn't let Obadiah Stane, you know, control his actions. And, you know, I thought that, you know, it kind of showed us that, like, this guy who everyone thinks is like so crazy and out there and out of control, like, he's very much in control. What I really liked about the Pepper Potts relationship was, like, again, this guy who's like so crazy and, you know, such a ladies' man, like, he really did, you know, you could tell he really had a thing for Pepper Potts. You know, he almost kissed her at that event and then he didn't. Like, you know, he was a little nervous, and, you know, I kind of think that it humanized him, even though I hate that word, but whatever. And you know, Rhodey, the one thing I don't like about the Rhodey thing is, like, I love Don Cheadle as Rhodey. I love Cuba Gooding Jr. as Rhodey, but I don't like that.
Oh, by the way, that wasn't him. It was Howard. It wasn't Cuba Gooding. It was. His name is Terrence Howard.
Terrence Howard, yes.
Terrence Howard.
So,
sorry.
All good. So I
was in
just
jail.
think Terrence Howard and Don Cheadle's Rhodey are two completely different characters. So that is the one thing I didn't like, but I liked that, you know, what I liked was that, you know, like, the one thing I think Rhodey served a really good purpose in the Iron Man movie was, you know, at first Rhodey, like, didn't really take him seriously when Tony Stark came home, and he's like, I'm not building weapons anymore, and he's like, listen, I got to show you what I'm working on, and Rhodey, like, wasn't having it. And then there was that, you know, training flight, you know, and there was the mishap, and, you know, Iron Man's, you know, saves the Air Force soldier out of the sky, and that's when Rhodey was like, okay, I'm going to take you seriously. And he kind of had to earn his friend's trust back. So I kind of just saw that as, like, the hero's journey, but it was the hero's journey in a one-of-a-kind Tony Stark kind of way, where, again, everyone thinks this guy is, like, out of control. You know, he's a genius, but he's an unstable genius. We shouldn't take him seriously. And next thing you know, they're taking him very seriously. And so I think, you know, Rhodey's relationship with Tony Stark helped show, you know, like, kind of the growth of how people were perceiving him within the movie. Right. I hate using the word film, because I feel like people always say it to be pretentious. Right? Just call it a fucking movie.
Exactly. It's pure extra. All right, now lastly, now to close out the character relationships, talk about his relationship to Pepper Potts in this film.
So, you know, Pepper Potts also thought he was kind of crazy, but, like, you know, she had a good relationship. And like I said, I think she really helped to humanize him. Like, he, you know, he was, like, nervous to kiss her on the terrace at that like big event that he went to when he wasn't really invited, but he kind of showed up anyway. And I thought that was really cool. And, you know, like, when I don't think it was that she didn't trust him, but she was, like, so nervous at the end when she was, like, gonna, you know, pull the power or whatever it was to, you know, electrocute Obadiah Stane on that roof, and he was like, do it. And it was very different than the, you know, Bruce Wayne, I don't care about what happens to me in the Batman, but it was, you know, he was willing to, like, sacrifice himself, because he was like, you know, again, he didn't want his weapons and his technology in the hands of the wrong people. and that meant everything to him, to the extent that he was willing to die to make sure Obadiah Stane didn't have that hands with him. So I think that Marvel, when they made that movie, I think they knew two things. Number one, they got to make Tony Stark flashy and fun, and people are going to love that. But they also have to, show that he's like a real hero, and he does have principles. He does have a, moral standards, and he, cares about that, and he cares about it very much. And I just think the fact that he prioritized, killing Obadiah Stane on that roof, even if it meant sacrificing his own life, he was prioritizing his weapons not being in the wrong hands, which is what he said at the very, right when he returned to America from the Middle East. And, I think it all came together really nicely, because he was also telling Pepper Potts to do it, to, pull the plug or whatever mechanism it was that was going to, electrocute Obadiah Stane on that roof. And I think it played in really nicely, because it also shone a nice light on their relationship. Like, Pepper Potts was like, I'm not willing to lose you. Like, I don't want to do that. It's not exactly what she said, with her words, but it's what she was saying with her actions. And I just think it all came together really nicely. And by the way, shout out to Gwyneth Paltrow, because she also was a perfect casting for Pepper Potts, and I don't think people talk about that enough. But I wonder if it was a different actress. I don't think that, I just think that movie worked together with all the moving pieces like so perfectly, that if you changed like anything, I just don't think it would have landed as nicely as it did.
I agree, bro. Iron Man 1 teaches us something, and this is the lesson, or maybe this is just like something that you need to see from this is this. When you live a life of lies, or when you live a life of not taking things serious, when you actually get serious, you have to go to the limit of darn near death for people to actually take you serious. And I believe that was the frustration with Tony Stark, is that he saw an issue and tried to fix it, but no one took him serious. That he was actually serious about what he was trying to do. And this movie proved, bro, it's so deep. And this movie proved how serious Tony Stark actually was about his tech and keeping people safe, which also gives Tony Stark's arc, because there is something selfish that he does in the battle. Tony Stark would have never sacrificed himself. I don't think it in this film.
With the Obadiah Stane, you don't think he would have sacrificed himself?
No, he's too prideful for that.
But he almost did. He just got lucky, or he fell. I remember, because he was holding onto the roof from beneath the glass.
I felt like he planned that, though. I don't know. I feel like Tony Stark is so freaking like planny that I feel like he knew what was going to happen, in my opinion. But
that's fair.
But I think that I really do believe that Tony Stark's mission in this film was, I need to get the people that I love and adore to take me serious in my life. And he did that. Yeah. And I think that him telling the world that he's Iron Man is an extension of that, to telling the world I am serious about this.
Right.
But obviously, Tony Stark gets in his head and it all falls to crap in Iron Man 2. But this movie was very pivotal to kind of start the arc of Tony Stark, which leads into a bunch of other things and adventures, while planting a seeds for more.
By the way, the I Am Iron Man, I'm like 90% positive that was a spontaneous ad lib and it wasn't in the script. And Jon Favreau loved it so much they just went with it.
Probably. He probably had to say something else, and he was like, "No, I feel this in my bones."
Yeah,
so freaking awesome.
Yeah,
so
fucking killed it.
Yeah, he was so good. So, and then obviously we get a end credit scenes with Nick Fury, Samuel L. Jackson, which is pointing us towards that next future. And that's kind of how it ends. So yeah, that is really like our little narration on Iron Man 1. Iron Man 1 is such a great movie. What Iron Man 1 is the perfect start to the Marvel universe. And the movie's grounded. It doesn't go outside of the Earth, but it shows us that there are some threats out there that we need to be worrying about sooner or later.
Yup.
So, yeah, guys. So that is really all that we have for today. As I said, for all the audio listeners, I'm going to split these clips up. So tomorrow you'll get a part 1 and a part 2. So thank you guys for watching and listening. So just to let you guys know, let's get some things situated. So we are doing a Mandalorian watch party tonight at 3 a.m. Number 1, that's usual. And I will be uploading the reviews for each episode. I kind of been behind on that, but we're going to get those up as well for episode 1, 2, and now 3. And we're going to be getting some videos, answering some questions. You're also going to be seeing more of Comic Cuts on this page. He's going to be making videos on here, so it's not just going to be me, like my face all of the time. But Comic Cuts, all of his theories, everything that's on his mind, he's going to start posting. So you can start seeing the both of us on this main page, not just podcast, but on there. Now, quick question. Now, quick task for all of you listeners, because I know a lot of you guys like to listen late, right? I know that like you guys don't come with us on the live stream, but like afterwards, you guys come and listen. Leave a comment below, like and subscribe, and comment any topics you want us to talk about. If you have any questions, comment it. If you have any comments, comment it. If you have any questions, comment. If you have any points, comment. And if there are any guests that you want us to get on, leave a comment, and we will go after that guest, and we will get them on. I am working on a guest that will be coming on soon. His nickname is Tree. He does video gaming, so he has a lot to say about Suicide Squad. He's been raging about this game for the past like 3 days, and it's actually been hilarious. So we're going to try to get Tree on to talk about some superhero gaming. So thank you guys so much for watching and listening.
Thank you.
As we said again, guys, like and subscribe and show some love. And I saw that one of you guys subscribed to the fantasy post, so thank you for that as well. Have a wonderful day, y'all. Peace. And